Here's something to keep an eye on. This is from thehill.com. And it's talking about the SNAP program, about the Farm Bill. Let's put it that way. I'm not going to read the whole article because it's really long, and it would take me about 10 to 12 minutes to read it, and it's probably more than you want to hear and probably more than I want to actually speak into the record. But I'm going to read a section of it that I think is pertinent, and then you guys can actually go and read the whole article if you really want to. The 5-year Farm Bill authorizes a number of farm, agriculture, and food programs that are set to expire at the end of September. Note that they're set to expire. But the bulk of the measure's funding in one of the areas that has been a lightning rod in the debate goes towards SNAP, also known as food stamps. This year's Farm Bill will impose tougher work requirements on millions of food stamp recipients and shift the program's funding toward job training. A change that Ryan and the GOP say will lift people out of poverty and get them back on their feet. Under the measure, all able-bodied adults between the ages of 18 and 59 have to be working or enrolled in a training program for at least 20 hours per week to qualify for food stamps. People who are elderly or disabled or pregnant would be exempt from the requirements. But the contentious idea has sparked a bitter intra-party fight in the House. Moderate Republicans worry that the new requirements are too tough and will prevent 1 million people from getting food assistance. I have concerns regarding SNAP, said Representative Leonard Lance, Republican of New Jersey, who is facing a tough re-election bid. Those from New Jersey have come into my office and said they will be unable to fulfill the requirements. Democrats have also slammed the idea as cruel and claim it has nothing more than a messaging bill since it stands little chance of passing the Senate. Democrats walked away from the normally bipartisan Farm Bill process earlier this year when Republicans decided to include the SNAP revamp. The Farm Bill is another example of division and dysfunction in the Republican Party. They eschew compromise and they continue to pander to the hardline elements of their caucus. Representative Steny Hoyer, Democrat, Maryland, the House Majority Whip, told reporters this week, "It is my understanding they don't have the votes on their side of the aisle." While the SNAP overhaul has helped woo some conservatives who would normally oppose the Farm Bill, and GOP leaders have highlighted the changes as a key selling point, other hardliners say the changes don't go far enough and have been pushing for actual funding cuts to SNAP. I like that it's actually doing something on SNAP, but it seems to me if we're going to do something, we should be really aggressive on it, said Representative Jim Jordan, Republican from Ohio, a Freedom Caucus leader. I've got to see if this is good enough. I'm just wondering how many federal workforce development programs we need, Jordan added. One way to get more wavering Republicans on board with the Farm Bill is to allow them to vote on some amendments. So far, nearly 100 amendments have been submitted to the House Rules Committee, which will meet this week to set rules for floor debate. Conway, however, has suggested that lawmakers shouldn't be allowed to offer amendments if they aren't willing to support the final bill. If you're a no already on the bill no matter what, then why would you get a poison pill amendment added to make it worse for everybody else? Conway asked this week. A member of the Freedom Caucus told The Hill he plans to offer a slate of amendments related to food and nutritional programs, including one that would send SNAP money to states based on their actual enrollment numbers, not just the number of people eligible. If there is an open debate and amendment process, Davidson said he would be more willing to support the final Farm Bill. There's other stuff, including sugar tariffs and sugar support, which has always been there for God since I traded sugar back in 1994. Found out that sugar in the United States is artificially high because the tariffs on imported sugar are so high. So they want to keep a thriving sugar market so the sugar in the United States is actually protected. But that's a different story. What we want to get to is the SNAP program that's included in the Farm Bill and the cuts that they want to put in, the cuts and the work requirements. Remember when we were talking about the Malthusians. And I pointed out that making sure that people work and support their own quote unquote subsistence or welfare was part of the thing that Malthus was saying. Said this is a 300-year-old idea, or 250-year-old idea. It's not new. What we think of as conservatives are just old-fashioned liberals. Back then, what Malthus was saying was unheard of. Now it's part of the conservative talking point, which is more stress on the poor, which is basically culling the herd. You restrict the food. You restrict the food in the diet. You basically shorten people's lifespans. Now, they just gave trillions of dollars to the corporations to bring their products or their whatever it is back into the country. Trillions. And I told you that tax cut was going to be borne on the backs of the poor, because you have the credit card is reaching its limit. There's only so much they can charge. And Republicans will go after lowering the borrowing on that credit card. And they're going to take it not out of the corporation's hide. They're going to take it out of your ass. But this is an election year, and the Republicans actually know that if they pass a draconian SNAP card bill, the draconian food assistance bill during an election year, especially for the House, which the House is much more critical than the Senate. Like I said, it probably doesn't have a ghost of a chance to pass in the Senate. The Senate is much more worried about riots in the streets than they are about an election. But I put this stuff up as articles. People wonder why I read the articles. I could take about 3, 4, 5 articles, give you an overall view, list them, and give you a summary of what I'm thinking or the opinion that I have. But I'm allowing you guys to actually peek over my shoulder and get a taste of the stuff that I look at and stuff that I build on when I make my analysis. It just doesn't come out of nowhere, and just doesn't come out because all of a sudden, because thus saith Zarutha, and it came down into my brain and I give God's word out onto you. No, it doesn't work that way. It's just good old fashioned reading and following the breadcrumbs, as I say, and see where they lead. So this goes all the way back to the Army War College saying, if you want to stay at a certain position in the world, you're going to have to do this. You're going to get more money. And then that led to the corporations needing to bring back technology and not keeping the technology transfer from going to the rest of the world in China. And somebody's going to have to pay for it. And unfortunately, it's not them, it's you. It's not them, it's you. And all the cascading effect that goes along with it, which is also why I say basically the gender war is over, even though there's going to be some wrangling back and forth and squabbling back and forth. But essentially, gender war is over, because when you marry tax cuts, or not tax cuts, but budget cuts, assistance cuts, along with automation and the elimination of jobs, it might not be a perfect storm, but it's pretty damn close. Buckle your chin straps and tighten your belts. This is just May, and we're not even halfway through 2018, and it's already causing these large waves. We haven't even seen the winds come in and the hurricane come through. Get ready, folks. We're not even at the elbow. We're at the inflection point. We're not even at the elbow. Where when we get past this elbow, your life will change. Your children's lives will change. Basically, the people that will seem the folks that it will seem normal to is probably the children just now being born. The speed of change and everything else will seem normal to them. But to us, especially us old folks, and you folks that are actually contend with this stuff, this is going to stress you out. So keep an eye on it. Keep looking. Broaden your horizon, broaden your worldview. Stop being so tied to a perspective and look at all angles, because you never know which hole or which place that answer is going to be. And you don't want to get stuck in a rut when this steamroller comes running over your head, okay? You want to get out of the way. Anyway, with that, I'm going to jump off of here. This is BGS out, and I will see you guys on the next one.